Back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, I'd just like to talk to you very briefly about, well, maybe not that briefly, who knows, about a little book that I put together for myself a while back, and it's called Living Actualized. And actually, it's not really much of a book at all. I'm not selling it here, am I? But look, it's a few pages of actual sort of just describing something. Dun, dun, dun. And then like 90 days worth of kind of pages where it just asks you, today I chose to create. Anyway, I'm going to take you through it. So I'm going to read you this first little bit. Okay. I'm going to read you a bit out of it. David DeAngelis was born. No, I'm not going to read that bit. Yeah, anyway, it's called Ultra Simplicity. This is a very short, simple, yet phenomenally powerful teaching. It is so short and simple because it's exactly what it needs to be. You will discover that it is exactly what you need right now. This is what I promise and exactly what you'll get. This material is solely about you experiencing an amazing quality of life. This is my interest in us working together. I was talking to myself in this, really. I've discovered something that actually works to create an amazing quality of life and keeps on working. Unlike pretty much every practice and system, it does not require constant maintenance, hallelujah, and monitoring. It is readily available to anyone who has the capacity to follow the almost ridiculously easy action I'm going to share with you. I'm going to have, maybe not going to have time to share the action now. Yeah, it's got, well, anyway, look, I'm going to continue on. I'm going to skip forward a little bit so you get more about what I'm talking about here. As a small child, you explored and created in a completely natural, radiant flow of life. You didn't need hundreds of pages of text or long discourses to simply be fully alive and present to whatever was occurring. That's important. There was no need or demand to mediate or quieten to meditate, not mediate, meditate and quieten your mind, because your mind was actually totally quiet and spacious, with everything arising and falling back into that quietness. So really it's kind of like I happened upon this, kind of a while back, and I've been using it like for, almost half my entire life now. And, this is the summary in a way. It's like assuming a life, assuming a world. Most people live their entire life completely unaware that an astonishingly beautiful, alive beyond words, and infinitely creative way to experience life sits right at their fingertips, waiting to be expressed and delighted in. Countless interactions come and go without consciously bringing this radiant human operating system. Kind of phrased it in technological terms there so it gets people's attention. That could be a good or a bad thing, I'm not sure. It brings this radiant human operating system into play, yet it never diminishes or moves any distance away. For the most part, our lives are played upon a stage of assumptions that on the surface appear to be the way things are. Looking at our culture as a whole, with all its dysfunctions, violence, physical and mental, and obsession with trivia, it's easy to miss just how phenomenally creative and resourceful practically everyone can be when gifted environments and viewpoints that are not born from the womb of limiting assumptions. Viewpoints and environments are keys to creating an entirely fresh life, an entirely fresh world. This isn't rocket science, of course, but even highly intelligent and creative people are still largely caught in the default operating system and miss this simple observation, struggling through conditions that guarantee discomfort and, inverted commas, failure. In the adult system of life, we automatically grow into viewpoints and environments where the natural opening or evolution of our hearts and minds is stunted. From the common viewpoints and environments, possibilities are small and only available to certain special individuals. As this plays out, we increasingly rely on just a handful of limited assumptions to point the way. Seeing as relying on assumptions is what happens, we may as well ask, how come the ones we actually rely on are so restrictive? Surely we could just as easily rely on assumptions that are amazing, energizing, and loving. They could be miraculous, magical, anything we wish. In the presence of a miraculous possibility, anything can be transformed, made vital and life-affirming, with the capacity to infuse our lives with love and beauty. As Dostoevsky said, beauty will save the world. Money can be transformed into miraculous ideas. Threat and hate can be transformed into compassion and forgiveness. The impossible becomes fecund and inviting, a realm to be explored. The impossible becomes fecund. The default adult operating system, our cultural operating system, can't function effectively in these environments. That's why it's squashed out. It cannot maintain the hum of agitation it needs to function. So really, I mean, I've gone on longer than I was going to about this, but really what I'm talking about here is that you have within you a guidance system. It is a truly incredible guidance system. And all you have to do to access that is to notice that there is an illumination. I really mean like an illumination within you. So you just have to notice that there's something illuminated within you. There is kind of like a sense of this light, because we are created from light. So this light is alive in you. And we've never been taught to access it. And all you need to do to access this and to start having a relationship with this is to begin with, you just close your eyes and you can notice that beyond just the flicker of light coming through your eyelids from the outside, deep within you, there is like a radiance, something radiating. It has a palpable quality to it. You can sense this radiation. Not as in like nuclear radiation. This is like spiritual radiation. You know, like the fallout of spiritual radiation is love. So anyway, back to the point. You can connect with this. And once you start to connect with this, just even momentarily, and you start to actually connect with this more and more, you realize it's light intelligence within you. And it's so simple. It's so simple that it never gets shared, never gets talked about. Teach this to your children, teach this to your friends, teach this to everyone. Even if they don't want to be taught it, teach it. And over time, what it's like, this essence, this radiance within you, this illumination, I call it a guiding principle, and now I've started calling it the vital flame. So this vital flame, it's an alive, it's an essence of what we all are, but it interacts with each person individually. So it's like it understands the physical structure, the historical structure, the DNA structure, the ancestral structure, the environmental structures and energies, and it works with them and you, and you start to be able to build a relationship with it. And like someone like Socrates or Plato might have even called it the daemon. So it's like another you, but as a radiant expression, and it's right there. It's not anywhere else. It's a ray. You don't need a meditation techniques. They're more, as wonderful as they can be. They're ideas again. This is purely you, and it starts to recognize that you've recognized it, and it starts to perform like a guiding principle. It starts to have a relationship with the world and you, and you can tune into it, and it can start to kind of reveal what can be called the signature codes of life. You start to see the relationships of things. It points things out. It directs you in certain ways. It has a quality to it. And it brings that quality to, the more you interact with it, the more that quality starts to come out into the world. It's almost like you can see it moving in the world. You can see it, your essence and radiance interacting with things and speaking to them. And then that is then communicated. And really the last place that ends up is thought. Thought's kind of the last thing. People think it's the first thing. It's the last thing. So we feel this, it's like this feeling radiance first, and then that becomes eventually ideas. And you see, the difference is that most of our thoughts, like the 70 or 80,000 thoughts that we're supposed to have a day, are just circular thinking. They're just the same old stuff going around, just, reorganizing itself. I should have done that, didn't do this and did it. But thoughts that come from that inner radiance, that vital flame, have a different quality to them. And over time, you start to discern that different quality. And you think, that's from the essence. That thought has radiated up from the essence, and now it's become available for me in this form, so I can act upon it. I can do things with it. So that's what I wanted to share with you. And really, the other thing was that I was going to share the question. So like, really, it's like kind of 90 days 90 days of questions, but of the same question. It says, today I choose to create. What's most obvious and available right now to assist me in this? Based on what I want to create, the 5 actions I need to take today are... Dun, 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 dun. So I found this really like... Oh God, look what I've got here. I don't know whether to read this or not. Shall I read it or not? What do you think? It's just like the one simple action. Now I've gone this far. It's like, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to make this video like 5 minutes. Anyway, look, I'm going to read this. I'm going to read it. I don't care. It's my channel. I'll do whatever I want. It says like, okay, just so I haven't like left you in like dangling here. The one simple action, exactly as you are right now, simply notice, actually I've given you this, but it probably talks about it a bit better here. Simply notice that there is an unquestionable sense that you exist, that you are living. Just notice this. You don't need to sit quietly or try to evoke this because you totally know it. You can be walking, running, reading these words, listening to these words. It doesn't make any difference. This sense of existence is so intimate and so natural and so pervasive that it cannot be mistaken for anything else. To begin with, many people are shocked that they've never actually fully noticed it. Noticed that something is always on. It is exactly because it is so pervasive that it's not noticed amidst the movement of thoughts and sensations. Thoughts and sensations capture your attention. They are moving, intense, compelling, whilst your intimate sense of existence is simply present. So now just notice your own existence. It is the precursor to everything. At first, the actuality of your existence appears to have no tangible qualities. Your attention is unaccustomed to going there. It may never have truly gone there apart from when you were a small child. Since then, it's been captivated by the cacophony of sentience. Simply locate that unquestionable sense that you exist, that you are living. Place your attention upon this just briefly. Don't try to hold your attention on it. This isn't meditation. Forget meditation for now. Forget shamanic journeying and all the rest for now. You don't need to be peaceful or still or have a silent mind. Your mind can be overflowing with images. Just make that one conscious effort. Your existence is the most obvious thing about you. Not ideas about consciousness, just the hum of your own sense of being alive. Find that sense of your own uniqueness, your own unique aliveness. So it tells you like to take that action, yeah? So I'm just going to scan through to the other bit, where I get to the bit about the, yeah, you don't have to tread lightly on this. It won't come and go. So where have I said that? Yeah, so basically what I'm saying is that when you place your attention on that sense of your existence, you sort of notice that there's a radiance to it. It becomes obvious that there's a radiance to it, yeah? So this radiance, your radiance, amidst the patterns that morph into brains and the unimaginable interactions and connections of energy dancing across synapses. This is the same energy. It creates everything. You know, light forming into sound, forming into form, and then falling apart again, and then doing the whole dance again. But the point I'm getting across is that this is like what I call a radiant operating system, not the operating systems that we've all been given, and overwrite this natural radiant one. So, you know, actually I'll post some of that text in the comments so you can get a better idea. But I just want you to know that you are naturally miraculous. You're naturally radiant. And that's really the most important message I wanted to get across with this. So it's taken me 19.42 minutes to get to that. But hey ho.